Hello everyone, Mike the MC, bringing another self-care video. Today I'm going to share with you number 276 of the Catechism with respect to the community being connected with God in the greater purpose of things. And I just did a video now where it was more or less the individual from 275 where you're thinking of your life in a greater context, a greater purpose, and you're thinking, okay, when I give up my purpose to serve the purpose of God, that's a really wonderful, honorable thing to do. But what about as a community? How do you see yourself in your community? How does your community as a whole see itself to serve the greater purpose in the world around us? Now that's a greater view to consider. So let's look at number 276 of the Catechism and see what it says. Faithful to the witness of Scripture, the Church often addresses its prayer to the Almighty and Eternal God, Omnipotens Sempiterne Dios, believing firmly that nothing will be impossible with God. Wow, what a community, what a belief. Can you imagine if all the world was united together? And we're now solving other problems besides world poverty, hunger, destruction, and war. Now we're actually focusing on productive things. And you think, okay, well, wait a minute. Isn't that kind of the strange idea to say, Mike the MC? All these different communities around the world, different countries, different leaders, everyone's got their motives, obligations, and political ideals to fulfill, etc., etc. But here's the thing. If you can hypothetically think that everyone was on the same page, all right, what would be the goal after that, right? What would be the goal? Would there be no more evil because now we're all in the same mind, thinking as one together, thinking about, okay, society's safe, everyone is secure, all of our economics are okay, our technology, our education, the mortality rates are, they're recovering, right? You think of all these things. If we're all on the same page, what would be the next goal to accomplish? I would argue, I've always had this argument, that we're going to jump from planet to planet. That's why I think the universe was made so grand. That's just my theory. Because I always felt that humanity was always naturally curious and would want to explore the world. Now people will say, oh, maybe it was not meant to be like that, and maybe we should just stay close to the world. Okay, that's a valid argument. Maybe we should be humble and recognize our limits and our boundaries. Okay, we should limit ourselves from not knowing what we should never know, right? And that is true. That is true. When you discover too much as a community, as a world, you recognize that you really break other communities around you. And so I would argue that a community that understands its limits, understands its purpose, maybe if it wants to remain a small town, okay, that's great. Maybe the mayor can advocate for that to say, all right, people, we're just going to keep our town more or less the nature town. Let the town next to us be more the city. But at least with ours, being the country folk, we have that kind of image, that kind of vibe that people may want to have other than just a city town all the time around other people. But then that's the thing. If you're the leader of community, wouldn't you want resources? Wouldn't you want your children to have good high schools, colleges around? Wouldn't you want the public publicity to promote more resources to come to your environment, your town? Maybe even have more oil, gas, coal, solar farms, right? You can think of all these things that people may want as far as energy sources. And you're thinking, okay, what can I give to the community, from the community to the rest of the world, right? And you're thinking, okay, we all have to be on the same page. At the meeting room, the whole board is connected. The directors are all talking together. We have a mission to accomplish. But now how are the people going to perceive these messages we're trying to share with them? And you're thinking, okay, with respect to the church now and the community, they have a faith here from the Catholic perspective that God is going to guide the rest of the community to safety, security. But what is that idea? It is that, okay, our needs will be met, the forgiveness of sins, and that our lives really matter to something great. Matter to something great as a whole, because we recognize that our work will not go in vain, that we can have all of our families grow and we can overcome the hardships of reality. But that whole community has to recognize that beyond politics, beyond wars, tragedies, medias, economic hardships, that we have a greater purpose to fulfill. And being a whole community takes a whole effort, right? It's like, okay, what kind of effort will this be? What are we going to accomplish this year? What sort of parades are we going to celebrate? Heroes we're going to admire, right? And so all that comes back to the history of your place as well. The history of your town. The history that has made your town so famous. Now, what is that history that we want to promote? What do we want people to recognize that we can lead to create more resources for people? And what is it that'll give us faith to understand that if we hold on to those goals, they will come true? And I think that is a greater perspective to leadership in the community. When the community itself trusts that there will be healing, trusts that the plague will go away, the sicknesses, has a trust that all will be okay. We suffer together, but we rise together. And those are some wonderful thoughts to consider. And so recognize, okay, even if you don't want to be on the team, want to be a solo leader, okay, fine. You're on your own in this regard. But recognize that you and I, even if you're in the outskirts, can still be a part of something great. When we see that the community is acting, we can join in as well. And when we join in and make that effort more profound, so interesting, when we add more energy to it, more vibe, that'll be something cool to consider. You can get in the vibe, I can get in the vibe, and we can make a difference with the people around us. So think of the ethics of your community, jump in when you know it's the right time, and see what your community is able to accomplish. And always pray to the higher power that maybe all your works together as a community will come true. Things to consider. All right, everyone, I hope this one finds you well today. Be strong and courageous. Always remember that God can reward a community, that if the people are in unison, looking at what has to be accomplished, it can be done. And when you find out what has to be done to protect the people around you, to promote the solutions for the problems that you see before you, if you're able to work together as a team and collaborate, that can be effective. But pray that the solution as a whole will suffice all the people around you as best as possible. And don't leave the neighbor to suffer on the side. Pick them up and find ways to bring connections with everyone, reduce the homelessness, reduce the poverty, and improve more of the home stability for other people to thrive and for families to grow. Things to consider. All right, everyone. I hope this video finds you well. Take care. Have a good one.